Well, hello. If you ever found yourself in a situation where you're lifting up atlas stones and your forearms are hurting, we have a solution. Now, it's not common, but it is a thing. So what we're making are atlas stone sleeves, and if you've never seen an atlas stone, this is what it looks like. That's an atlas stone, and this is what you do with it. The way we're doing it is a little more intense. It has to be heavy duty, it has to be functional, but if you're using it for cosplaying or let's say archery or anything that requires just for costuming, you don't need to do it as intense as we're doing. But if you're a strongman and you like leather work, maybe you can make your own. And without further ado, let's watch the rest of the video. Let me know if you have any questions though. For this project, we'll be using a cow suede, which is soft and comfortable for the skin. And for the outside, we'll be using something a little more durable. It's called the Storm. It's a soft-tempered, but very heavy-duty and good for hard work. Keep in mind that you'll be using 2 patterns for each arm, one smaller, one bigger. And when you're measuring it, make sure that you reduce it by 1.5 inches, because for stretching and when you feel big or when you feel small, you'll have a chance to adjust it to your liking. Now for the straps, it's personal preference. If you want it longer, if you want it shorter, it's all up to you. But you can measure this afterwards when you finish the main piece. Now remember, we're cutting 2 of each, 2 of the Storm and 2 of the suede. And here I use a silver pen. It's the easiest way to see all of the markings without having to scratch the leather or having to go, ooh, where's my marking? We do sell leather pens in our store, 76 West 6th, Vancouver, BC, but if you don't have access to that, you could look up fabric marking pens. Now when cutting soft leather, I like to use a rotary cutter because it just glides over it, unlike a utility knife that could drag it if it's not sharp enough. So if you're using a utility knife, keep it sharp. We're using the silver pen again, so we know what to glue. You can glue the entire piece, it's just neater if you just glue the inside of what you need to glue. This is very important, do not try this at home. Now, just glue the entire piece, and then we're ready to go. Start on the corners. It's a lot easier to line them up, and then you can just put a pressure. And if you have to remove it, make sure to add more leather glue. Hammer it down like MC Hammers. Now for the fabric people, you might have a different way of doing this, but for this one, since the leather is so thick, I can just hammer it down and see the outline of the creases. That's what I'm doing here, that's why it's perfectly lined up that way. And really important that you start folding from the top first, and then the sides. This way it'll be out of the way of the Velcro, and especially when you're using it, you don't want it to snag on anything else. Leather cement works too, but make sure that you scratch the piece if you're not using pebble grain when you fold it over. Almost. Here we go. We did it. Hey. Again, wrist first, then forearms. Hammer it like MC Hammers. And there we are. Now this part is completely optional. You can buy a leather sewing machine, or you could just hand stitch, but use 6mm stitching punch and a 1mm thread for that. The jeweler's Kosh is a perfect option. Now with the seam allowance, you're going for a 1/4 inch. And if you want to, you can double up on the machine stitching. With hand stitching, it's pretty heavy duty already, so you can keep it with just 1 stitch. Now when cutting straps, make sure that it's just not too short that you're cutting off your circulation, or not too long like Steven Tyler's bandanas on his microphone stand. Now we add a little bit at the tip for the tab, so that's about 1.5 inches, so we can actually pull on it. And you start stitching over by that tab, so it secures it nice and flat, so it goes through the loop nice and smooth. This is a standard loop, just don't make it too long. If it's too long, it's going to flap around too much, and it runs the risk of major annoyance. Considerable. Again, you can use leather cement for any of these parts. Just make sure to scratch where you are connecting it. But don't do what I did. I made a mistake. It's supposed to be on the other side. Don't make two left ones. Make a right and a left one. Sound good? The way I designed this, the strap has a little bit of give. So when it's too small, you can actually tuck the other side of the sleeve in underneath the strap. Double cap rivets are used just in case we need to remove it and adjust the length of the Velcro strap. All right, so there they are. Now these guys ended up just about being 7 ounces altogether, which is a good amount. You don't want any thicker than that. I mean, you could go a little thinner, but it's great because it'll be resilient to all the work that you're gonna put into this. And I mean, of course, if you're a strongman. So obviously this is not my size. It's made for a much bigger guy than I am. These strongman athletes are large and strong. Now what I made needs to be functional, and using it for carrying 300-pound stones, and it really rips up your arms. But if you are making vambraces or anything like that for, let's say, live action role plays or some sort of cosplay, it's a lot easier to make this without the lining. Now, this needed to be functional. That's why I needed to have cow suede on the inside, rougher and stronger leather on the outside. That way, when it does grip on the stone, it's not gonna hurt the person, it's gonna last a long time, and it's gonna look fantastic. You're gonna walk into the stage, hey listen, I want the woman. Anyways, now if you're making something that's functional yet light duty, something like that, like archery, you can make something like this too. You really don't have to line it. This is only lined because you are using it for heavy duty stone lifting. But if you are using it for archery, you can make it a little thinner leather. You could even make the same thing that we did with this, where it's Velcro, and there's also another style where you can have it with laces. Now that's a project for another day. Hopefully you like these. I'm gonna get some shots of our strongman athlete using these, maybe lifting some 325, 350 pound stone. And you'll see how this works and why we need it.
How much water? That's what's going on. The hydrate. It's hot. Let's go, John. Come on. Get it up. Let's go. Yeah. There you go.
All right, see you in the next one. Peace.